Welcome back to another chapter of Trials of a King. Last time, Cecil Harvey has actually made it to the summit of Mount Ordeals, and he just met up with Damien there. While there, Damien had actually unveiled everything to Cecil, that he was an outcast, lived with the Injacals, had total amnesia, he wanted revenge, and he was a dark spirit as a vengeance seeker, looking for Cecil's vessel so he can possess it again and sever the ties between him and Rosa so that he can embrace his darkness again. Just like the things he said to Rosa. So, he wanted to possess him, and he did at Mount Ordeals at the summit when Cecil met up with Kain, and during the fight, his darkness actually missed Kain and hit the altar, which caused the summit to have a catastrophe. It started to collapse. And the Elder and the Mysidians were very freaked out about it because they never seen anything like this. And in order to atone himself, Cecil actually wanted to commit suicide. But Kain refused to let him do that and take over as the King of Baron. So, he actually saved his life while the mountaintop was collapsing. So, is Cecil still alive or not? Well, let's find out, shall we? Alright, Chapter 6. The good news is Cecil is actually alive. The bad news is he'll never be the same. Do you remember in the after years when Cecil had his mind destroyed by the damned Manids before he faced his doppelganger, and he can't use any white magic? Well, it's kind of the same thing, just his ability loss plus some depression. Still, I wish the best for him, and there may be an unexpected turn of events. We'll see. About 36 hours has passed since Cecil was comatose. The elder Pelham and Porum took turns watching over him. However, it was Kain that gave a constant visual. Honey and water were fed to him to keep his vitals stable. While the kids were the most worried of Cecil's state, Kain knows that he'll eventually come around. It was almost dusk. The sun was setting in glorious sky of indigo, blood red, burnt orange, then goldenrod. Suddenly, Cecil let out a small groan. At long last he came to. Kain was astonished as he watched. His head turned as his eyes opened. Paladin noticed he was in a comfy bed, mainly the Elder's. He found himself in Mysidia instead of the destroyed summit of Mount Ordeals. As his sight cleared, he noticed his best friend watching over him. Still, he felt so... Cecil, you're awake! At last! He rose his aching body. His head swam a little. Kain, what happened? I saved you from the cataclysm at Mount Ordeals. We fought each other. The malevolent energy you unleashed missed me and hit the sacred altar. You were possessed by a dark... You were possessed by a dark energy force. I believe it was your doppelganger, Damien. Cecil became more depressed than ever. He remembered he wanted to take his own life so he could cleanse himself from the devilry he had. Always attacking Kain, having emotions of revenge and wrath. Never wanted this to happen. He recalled his last words for Kain to be Baron's new king upon his demise. His head was bent in sorrow, even though Kain kept encouraging him. Cecil, since you're alive, we will both be able to defeat the Unjacals once we obtain the light. Are you with me? The paladin never answered. Instead, he looked at him for a brief moment, then he sulked. The commander didn't give up. Cecil, as much as I hate to admit it, I can't do this without you. You were right. We do need each other for this trial. I need your help, Cecil simply brooded. I can't help. I can't help anyone, Kain couldn't believe what he was saying. The strong, brave knight who never quit, who would stand up for anyone or anything, just said he wouldn't do it? This is not like you, Cecil. You probably have hit your head too hard during that plummet. You must not be thinking very clearly. No, Kain. For the first time in a while I am thinking clearly. You must be the ruler of Baron. I don't have it in me anymore. The darkness consumed my soul. It sapped all my strength, my will. I can no longer feel the hallowed light of Cluya bestowed upon me. I am at the mercy of Damien and Dragon Rose now. You were valid of what you said. You love Rosa more than I do. Please, take care of her in my kingdom. No, Cecil, you have what it takes. You've proven it many times in the past, when you became a paladin against all odds. You were the one Rosa loves since you rescued her at the Tower of Zot, and I didn't. And then you and Rosa were chosen to become Baron's new symbol of hope and royalty, seeing the light like it never did before since Odin was slewed. And you always stood up to what's right, when neither of us had the courage to do so. You're certainly the one who would help us defeat the dreaded Unjacals. You're our last hope. Trailed off, but still he never budged. After long moments of silence, he stood up. The choice is yours, Cecil. You may fight the malicious tribe and lead it, or not. I'll give you time to think things over so you can make a just decision. You know where to find me. Left him behind, and Cecil took a deep sigh, becoming more melancholic. He just sat there, staring at the walls that were as blank as his mind. He knew what he had to do, but he didn't have the heart to stand up against his dark aura, or the lost tribe of the Tenebrae. As his mind wandered, he reminisced when the Elder sensed a glimmer of light inside him after he was attacked by Leviathan. The High Priest knew that the dark sword can't triumph over evil, so he must relinquish it to become a warrior of light and virtue. He did. He succeeded where no one else would. That scenario gave him a sliver of hope, but he was willing to climb again. Not after what recent... But he was not willing. Ugh, dang it. He was not willing. Wasn't willing to try again. Not after what happened. Slowly he stood up. Both his body and mind were as heavy as a ton of bricks. He had to talk to the Elder. He climbed the center staircase which led him to the crystal room. The water crystal was gleaming with life. It looked as though it was flowing, much like the ocean's waves. As Cecil marched to it, he had a flashback when he was a Lord Captain of the Red Wings upon their successful, though regretful, mission on stealing it and slaughtering innocent mages, which is how the game started. He just gazed into its magnificent luster. He heard that the crystals could be used for prayer like the ones the Elder and his friends used when he fell against Aromas. With that in mind, he stepped close to the elemental gem, knelt on the hard red carpet. He closed his eyes as he touched it and made a prayer to himself. The crystals, so full of light, the bearers of hope and valor. I'm imploring you, please, give me the strength to fight against my inner demon, my dark self. His wickedness, his treachery. Do not ever make me like him, as a pawn of evil, as a servant to Dragon Rose, the Unjacals, and their corrupt leader Doman. Do not make the malevolence usurp me completely. Make me see the light once again. Give me the will to protect Rosa, and to not let Baron fall. Restore my broken soul. He opened his eyes as he dropped his head. His heart warmed somewhat, yet he still didn't feel whole. He may have to visit the Tower Days to help restore his faith more. He headed to the rear door and stepped onto the spiraling staircase. There he saw the Elder, White Mage, Black Mage, the usual spot. They're praying for all the life in the world. Fema looked over and saw him. "Oh, Elder! It's Cecil! He's finally awoken!" "Indeed he has," the priest said. reading his sorrowful face. He knew something was wrong. He suggested the mages to leave him while he talks with the paladin in private. They both nodded and they murmured something as they walked past him, but he couldn't catch what it was. He was so self-inflicted. Cecil, come. I need to have a powwow with you. He nodded. I heard from Sir Kain of what happened. A few days ago you were heading up Mount Ordeals, and you met him at the summit. Tell me why. I was trying to reobtain the light. I feel my soul is covered in darkness now in my failed attempt. We agreed we'll visit the shrine and overcome our demons head on, and Kain would then become a holy dragoon. But it wasn't long before we suspected Damien was controlling me as a mere puppet. I see. It wasn't entirely your doing. Your dark self corrupted your mind and soul. He filled me with so much malice. I couldn't stop myself as he reminded me of Kain's traitorous ways. As I did, I had this bloodlust as I kept hearing incantations and drums in my mind, similar to the ones the Unjacall used back in Tenebrae. He drove me mad, and I fought Kain with so much resentment in my heart. Then, he said I misfired and he hit the altar, which caused a sort of cataclysm. I remembered I was being struck by lightning, and I was so stunned I could barely move or breathe. It was surreal, similar to the nightmare I had earlier. I was knocked to a cliff hanging for dear life. Then, I... You took your own life. But luckily you've survived thanks to the rare phoenix pinion. However, you were in a coma for approximately a day and a half. The kids got increasingly worried. Palom and Porum? Yes. They'd be mighty glad you're awake now. Cecil couldn't stand to put more lives in danger from his actions, no matter who was manipulating him. I'm not trying to ask for your forgiveness. Just, at least, give me some support. Restore my faith. That's all I need. Cecil, you act upon desperation. I honestly cannot do that. However, I will pray for your victory. You once had a sliver of light inside you. You've overcame incredible odds. And you did that to bring peace to the world and to save your friends, including Rosa. She was your driving force, Cecil. You should use her love to save you. He did remember their plans to settle in Baron, and was just about to ask the Elder for his blessings. He suddenly took out his silvery pendant that depicted a full moon, his birthday gift. He was surprised it was still on him. It must have been an omen that things can turn around. Rosa's love. Wait, Elder! We were about to head here via airship before we were distracted by the Redmen. I was hoping you'd not only pray for me, but give both of us your blessings when we make the decision to settle. Of course, Cecil. I promise I'll support the two of you when the time comes. Until then, it's up to you. Remember the Mysidian legend. Let it be your beacon as you wield the sacred blade. You were chosen as the warrior for the ages. Go now, and defeat the darkness. I will. Thank you. Even though he was a little confident, he must go to Rosa as soon as possible before Damien gets to her first. Can't possibly let him kill her so he will lose her forever and be easier to manipulate from the devastation. He just can't. After he collected his bearings, the Elder and the mages wished him luck. He never had an airship, so he considered to take a shortcut. He could use a teleport spell, only... The problem was he couldn't cast it. Tried envisioning his homeland, but nothing seems to be coming to mind. As he closed his eyes, he saw nothing but darkness, and his mind was just so blurry. He figured it was Damien's influence, as if it was some kind of a blockage. In fact, he couldn't conjure any white magic spells at all. Without another option, Cecil headed to the Devil's Road. He was certain he could make the journey without losing some of his energy along the way. With a brief hesitation, he stepped into the bright, hazy field. The light became more intense, so much so that Cecil had to shut his eyes. By the time he reopened them, he wound up in another chamber. It almost looked the same to him until he stepped out. Sure enough, he finally returned home, but it wasn't what he expected. There was tension in the air, making him feel heavier and anxious. It's become dusk. The town was silent, yet he still saw some people roaming around. They were huddled in pairs, almost as if they could be afraid of something. "Oh, Lord Cecil! Thank goodness you've come!" There was a small family. "What's wrong?" "Since since you became the king, we never had any more sightings of dark knights, but we happened to see one earlier. He almost looked exactly like you when you wore the accursed armor. In a flash of black energy, he went south from here at blinding speed." "That dark knight was certainly very creepy." "How long ago was this?" "About 3 hours." "Cecil!" Believe it or not, it belonged to the rambunctious engineer. "Sid? What are you doing here?" "First off, I want to apologize how I treated you a few days back. I never meant to scold you so much." "No, it's all right. I really deserved it for my actions after I was aroused by the—" "Second of all, I came to tell you that Rosa disappeared. She left without saying a word, and she used a teleport spell, but she wouldn't say where she went. I wanted to go with her, but she was as stubborn as my late wife and my daughter combined." "Oh no, I was too late to talk to her." "Why would Rosa leave before my return? I promised I would meet her. Was it because Damien was too much for her?" "Moments later, I heard from my buddies, Biggs and Wedge, and how they overheard a commotion inside your bedchamber. They said that Damien attacked her, because he knew she left for Mist via airship. He couldn't believe she still loves you after all that treachery." "Rosa, no." "She was badly bruised, and they eavesdropped on him, saying he will go to the world's darkest depths. They actually found out what he said before he vanished, as they studied an incantation in a strange archaic language of some sort." "World's darkest depths." Didn't take long to put two and two together. "Cecil, what is it?" "Sid, I need you to stay at the kingdom. By all means, you're the only one to protect it with your airships. I have to borrow the Enterprise at once." "But Cecil, don't you want me to tag along? You can't possibly be that foolish handling Damien by yourself. And we don't know where Rosa could be. What if she's captured by him? Or perhaps—" "Sid, it's an order!" He emitted so much authority and he looked very stern, he caused the fleet engineer to back off. Then composed. "Oh, okay, Cecil. Calm down. Take a blizzard pill. I didn't mean to challenge you." "I didn't mean to shout, but the situation is very urgent. You may help me prepare for the flight, but you'll be in charge of the defenses and wait for our return." "Aye, aye, sir." "Your Majesty, you must be very careful." I remember that a dark knight could charge up his strength and unleash a deadly volley of darkness toward his foes, and he could wear himself out as well." "Yes, thank you for the refresher. I know his powers are lethal as he draws on his own energy. I might be able to withstand it." Wasn't sure in his weakened condition. Can't heal himself. He's beginning to get more worried. "I hope I'll return in one piece. Goodbye, everyone." Small family wished him a safe journey in the hope he'll win the fierce battle if he ever faces his dark self. He met Sid. He was looking over the Enterprise. They were relieved they had extra medical equipment. Various items that healed any type of ailment. It was always best for the fleet to be prepared for anything, especially the Enterprise. "Well, well, this is it. Everything is prepared." "Thank you." He was still plenty nervous about the trials ahead. He doesn't know what would happen, but he's expecting the worst. "Sid, if I'm not back within afternoon's light. I'm sure you and Rosa will be just fine. I'm not too worried. You should be able to find Damien and slice him to 1,000 shreds. I sure hope so. I'll wait for Rosa's and my return. I'm counting on you greatly. Of course, my liege. It's about time you lazy boys showed up. Biggs and Wedge. Return safely, Captain, and with Rosa in your arms. I will. Please look after the kingdom while I'm gone, and stay on high alert. You betcha! Cranked the engines, he lifted off. 3 mechanics watched him over. It all comes down to this. Rosa, I will find you and defeat Damien, and to never be unfaithful again. Hold on, my love. Soared to Agart, went to the bowels of a massive mountain chain, which was entrance to the Underworld, also known as the magmatic lands of the Dwarves. He was lucky that the body was able to deal with the intense heat and fly over the fatal magma flows thanks to Sid's last-minute upgrades using mithril armor. Went southwest. There was Dwarven Castle, where King Jayat, Gaiat, Gaiat, and his daughter Luca reigned over the hellish domain. Even they have their own airship known as the Falcon. They were always so intrigued with the lush surface world. He docked next to the fortress several feet from the portcullis. Valley-ho! They always had that greeting, all the guardsmen. He hasn't been any dangers involving the secret dark crystals. Everything was peaceful, no activity from the Tower of Babel, and the Falcon was as graceful as ever. He asked them if he had seen Rosa or a sinister dark knight. Then King Jayat appeared. Ah, Lord Cecil! I had a hunch you were coming, young chap. You were suspecting where your beloved Rosa and your dark side went? Yes, your majesty. Then we must talk, shall we? Come with me to the throne room. We've much to discuss. He followed him. He saw the robotic dolls Kalka and Brenna. Ugh, I always dreaded these two because of that boss fight. Also, fun fact, I made it up to that part in the Super Nintendo version, but I could never beat it. When I got to that part in the DS version, I was always dreading it. But it was actually thanks to a site I found years ago, mahalo.com, but it went out of business. It shut down. It was the most lenient site out of all the others, because they always tell you to go to Eblon first, before reaching the Tower of Zot and getting the sleeping blade. I was like, what? I can't do this. It was just the most lenient. So, there's Luca. Hi, Cecil. Great to see you. I'm making some technical adjustments on my dolls. How's Sid? He was like an idol to her. She always wished she'll be like him someday. He's doing well, Luca. Fine and dandy. Goody! Goody! I have to talk with your father, okay? Sure. Carried a monkey wrench. Lally-ho! He said again. King Giant went down to business. He said Rosa was seen here and she was talking to him about following a dark knight, which is unusual. No one should wear that kind of armor under this scorching air. She believes he only went here to increase his vitality since this place was known for its opaque environment and its crystals, rather than just the dry heat. Witnesses have seen him head northwest from here. They think it's the Sylph Cave, where a crystal is believed to be held. Rosa decided to teleport there, although she was looking and acting very peculiar. Peculiar? How so? The king said that she was dressed in exotic clothing, those they won't see anywhere in the Underworld. In addition, she was chatting with him as if she fell into some kind of a trance. We tried to see what was wrong, but she disappeared moments before we had the chance to talk to her. Thought the dark crystal Damien must have put her in a strong daze. You think that's where you should go? Your Majesty, you can't make it alone. Not without something that'll cast float. Don't you remember how poisonous and dangerous this place is? He was aware of that. How his doppelganger knew about the dark crystals he'll never be able to figure out. Either way, he must head there full throttle. I have no choice, Lord Jayat. Damien has her under his thrall, and I need to see her and break it. I must go to the Sylph Cave immediately. Are you sure you don't want the Falcon to accompany you? Yes. This is a fight. For me, and me alone. In mere minutes, Cecil lifted off and headed northwest to the fatal toxic cavern where the fairies dwelled. Another chapter done, at long last. Here are a few interesting facts. The elder said he was going to have a powwow, maybe a reference of having a ceremony involving Indians with food and dancing, even though it was meant to be just a private chat. We now know where Damien is headed to, the world's darkest depths south of Baron. Figuratively, it could mean that he went to the Underworld, the land of the Dwarves. He and Rosa went to the Sylph Cave, home to some of the most annoying enemies ever. Ugh, I can't stress it enough. Why is he there? Well, you'll find out soon. Also, even though the game would be too easy in this setup, I figured the Enterprise will have a storage area for a bunch of sundries in the upcoming battle against Damien. This next chapter will be a wallop to make, since it'll incorporate an epic battle between the two knights. Man, this is going to be the most dramatic parts ever. So, I'll see you in the next part. Can't wait to do this.